I'm already crying. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Tanya-tastic Talks. I am here with my dad.
That's it. That's me.
Yeah, how's it going?
I'm great. I'm feeling good, feeling tanned, rested, and happy to be here with you.
I put on more bronzer because I wanted to match his level of tan, but I don't think I have it yet.
There's a difference between
It's a gift.
trying and having the gift.
Thanks, Dad. Okay, so today I thought that we would continue this conversation that we had in my last video with my mom about how health affects the family. And I thought it would be important to get my dad's perspective on the whole thing. I know that it's obviously we're talking about different genders and different perspectives, different personalities and temperaments, and different ways of processing health, illness, and all of that. My question for my dad is, how have you dealt with this internally versus externally?
Well, it's been a long journey from May of last year,
Yeah.
when the whole episode began. And
Yeah, and you were in the hospital with me in emergency.
yeah, we
Yeah.
were with you in the hospital. I guess externally, I mean, the stress of it. I mean, physically, it's difficult. You don't sleep as well. You're worried. You're anxious. You're concerned. So physiologically, obviously, I've been affected. I guess internally, I keep things more inside than I do outside, as you know.
Yeah.
I tend to process things more inside and then maybe talk a little bit about it, but I don't need to talk it out just to process it.
Yeah, he's not like me.
No, we're a little
Yeah.
different like that.
Yeah,
But I guess internally, one of the hardest places to be is as a father wanting to help your child, but feeling helpless. And making sure that you're not hopeless. So
Yeah.
the idea of being helpless is that you try your best to encourage, and even as a father, you want to fix things. You want to make things right. As a father, often you want to be a good provider. You want to take care of your child. I know you're an adult, but at the same time, you never lose that relationship where you feel that you want to make things right. And not being able to do that, I think, has been one of the most frustrating things I've ever gone through. I think we've grown through this in that I've learned to sort of let go and just enjoy you as my daughter, as the one that I love, and to not feel that I have to change things or have things perfect before we can at least continue our relationship.
I'm already crying. Okay.
How's it affected you? How has our relationship been affected through all of this?
It's been difficult because I've tried to stay strong as best as I could and as best as I can. But I know that it still affects everybody else around me, so even though you don't talk about it and process it out loud all the time, I still know that it affects you. When I look at you, I can tell, but I don't necessarily know what you're thinking. So, we don't understand why this whole thing has happened necessarily, or why it continues to be an issue and what this FND is and the extent of it. I don't think we know. There's not enough research out there to fully know.
And that's the thing too. I mean, I try to understand it. I read all the medical journals on it.
I know.
I do research. I try to understand where it's going and looking for small increments of our progress in healing, and not seeing very much happen is difficult.
Yeah.
Wondering, how am I going to inspire you? How am I going to encourage you? And I guess seeing you I've seen you make many, many efforts, and that has impressed me. And I feel that you are a fighter, and I've got to get behind you and not make your life more difficult than it is. I'm more of a doer than
Yeah.
just a feeler. I mean,
Yeah.
although I feel, I mean, I'm not, insensitive to your
No, I know you're
your
not.
plight, but I do feel that when I see you making efforts, when I see you like you are now this summer, over 1 year later, again, making these efforts to try to enter into society, to try to do some of the things that before you could not even fathom to do, has been really encouraging to me. I can't say that it's been very fast healing process. It's
No,
taking a
absolutely
lot
not.
of time,
Absolutely not.
and but you have learned to manage and to set limits on yourself. And as the mature adult that you are, you have made efforts to do things, to progress in a way that shows that you are um, being focused in dealing with this and not letting it direct you, but you're trying to direct it. And I think this is one of the areas that to me is most important, is to not let this be, you don't become just a slave to your condition, but as you're trying to manage through it, that you allow yourself to have small victories, no matter how small,
Yeah.
that it gives you a sense of progress. I guess what I've had to come to grips with is the fact that this is a functional neurological disorder where you still have the tremors and you have the shaking, you have the hyperacusis, the problems with your hearing, and
And the
this
facial.
is physiological.
Yeah.
Neurological. It's not a question of not having a will to get better.
Yeah.
It's not because you're lazy or somehow disconnected with reality, or you want to just not go back to work. It's none of those things. And that's been difficult for me because it's so hard to diagnose, to treat. It's such a slow process of reintegration, of
Yeah.
healing, and I've got to learn also to say the things that'll encourage you and to help you to reinvent yourself in the midst of what you're experiencing. So I try to get in your head a bit, but from a father's point of view, from a man's point of view, it's difficult to enter into a woman's point of view.
Yeah.
Again, because
Plus, I'm your
sometimes,
daughter.
yeah, you're my daughter, and I want you to succeed and to go forward. But I've got to understand that I got to be careful I don't push you to the point where I frustrate you, because some of it maybe is not even the right way to deal with the situation. We believe that things are on the mend.
Yeah, and you know that they are.
They are, but it is so slow. And even doctors, like they would just want to, tell us everything will eventually get better, but we would say when, and they can't say when. But I still see you in there.
Yeah.
And there's more of you than this disorder in you. And I'm focusing upon the beauty in you and not the difficulties that I get frustrated with, because those are outside. There's something inside of you that is beautiful, and I want to continue to nurture that. When you go forward, I go forward. There's a link between us. So
Yeah.
we're linked at the hips, and so I'm encouraged because I see that you have become stronger in the midst of your weaknesses.
Yeah.
I like that verse in the Bible. It says, in our weakness, his strength is made perfect. And I found that many times in your weakness, you've
Yeah.
found that strength that's come within, and that's powerful, because I think we need that. We need that strength that's beyond ourselves, because so often we get to the end of our abilities, our strength. We just
Yeah.
haven't got any power to move forward, but I see that you're just drawing on that power, and you're going to make it through.
Mom's video, I didn't cry. This video, I'm crying the whole time. Like, what's been the easiest to process?
The easiest to process in the midst of this situation has been to to love you as my daughter, to know that, to reassure you that my love for you is unconditional. That's been the easiest, because it's just so natural. It just feels so good to be around you, and to love you it'll just never change. And nothing that comes between us or happens in your life can ever change that deep sense of attachment that we have for each other. And I feel closer to you than I have ever in my life before. Then what's been the most difficult has been the feeling of not being able to control the situation.
Yeah.
And despite seeing some small, encouraging signs of change and turning the corner, but yet then only to come back to square one
that's
again.
Been pretty.
That has really been difficult.
Yeah, that's been the most difficult for me. Is the relapses and symptoms.
Yeah.
You take 3 steps forward and then like 5 steps back, and then that's just been.
Yeah.
Really hard.
You're learning things that you would never learn unless you went through this.
Yeah, totally. I would have never known about this disorder. I would have never known about...
And look at the people even you're helping online right now, even those maybe who are listening right now. And we thank you for listening. This is tremendous that you'd be part of this journey. But you have your journey too, and people need to learn from you, and don't always feel that you are on the receiving end in the midst of your weaknesses and your struggles and frustrations. You still have a sensitivity that few people have.
Yeah.
And you have much to offer and much to give, and I'd encourage you to move forward and find someone that you can help and encourage despite your own struggles. You're needed. You have more than
and
you
we
realize.
Forget that. I think we forget that we are needed.
Yeah. Yeah.
We do. I have.
But I think too, you've reinvented yourself.
But that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. You're reinventing yourself. And yet I still see the old Tanya deep inside. I see you're there, although sometimes your actions are amplified and over exaggerated, and you're maybe a little embarrassed, and I'm sort of frustrated, but yet I see you there, and you're trying now to work through this despite your limitations, but you are not the same person you were a year ago. And even through this disorder, you're still able to manifest your personality.
Yeah.
It's there. You haven't lost it.
Yeah.
You still have that sense of humor and that quirkiness about you that I love.
I hope so. Jeez.
Oh, yeah. Life would be boring without that.
Well, yeah. I mean, my goodness, right? I think we've said a lot. I think we've processed a lot. I've cried a lot. Any last words, Dad?
I think you need to have those, either your parents or that significant other or a friend. I think you need to sense that they're partners with you in your future. And you're all going through this together. As a father, as a mother, as a sister, as a brother, as an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, whatever it might be, a close friend. You're in this journey together, and you must lean in each other and encourage each other, laugh together, cry together, and consider it to be meaningful and not something that life begins once this is over. It's right now. It's the reality of the now, the present, that you must learn to enjoy and to fight through and to learn from, so that it can have the impact that it should, because you only have this one time to live, and then it's past. So whatever it might be, you've got to make the best of it.
I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then give it a like right down there. If you haven't seen other videos of mine, then you can click Tiny-tastic Talks, and you'll see all the videos that I've made, or I'll put some around over here. I'll see you next Friday. See you later.